So let's make sure we're getting it. Okay. Very good. So welcome, and welcome to the AIP. It is September 10th, 2014. Tonight we're talking about sales tricks, sales strategies, however you want to call it, sales something or other, in order to be able to, and you know, sales has such a lousy connotation. I can't think of a better way of saying it. I mean, people are into your office, and no, you're not going to use sleazy tricks to sell people. That's not the idea. The idea is to give people enough information so that they can make a decision and make the proper decision for themselves. We're not talking about high-pressure selling, although we are talking about a hard sell, which is different from high pressure. Hard sell means you put the message forward, so with really fully caring about the patient and making sure that the patient is well taken care of. That's the whole idea. So we can't be namby-pamby about that. We really can't. Patients are here, they need the information, they want the information, they wouldn't have walked into our offices in the first place unless they wanted the services that we provide. And it's our job to provide them, well, to provide them with all the information and to give them the reasons why they should be getting the work done that they're here to do. Now understand that there is a whole lot of reasons why patients arrived in your office in the first place. We can talk about it as far as direct marketing. Yes, you put out a message that a patient wants to take advantage of, and that's good. Or we can talk about the fact that you were referred. The patient was referred by a dentist who had a lot of confidence in you, and the patient decided to make the appointment. Either way, your job at that point is to diagnose, determine the treatment plan that's in the best interest of the patient, whether it's no treatment or whether it's extract all your teeth and put in full mouth implants, whatever it is, and then have the patient understand why that's necessary, why that's a good idea. And what I'm going to do is give you some tools that we've used, we're using right now very, very successfully, and some things that we've used in the past until we got some of the modern tools. So I'm going to show you different strategies. Of course, I'm going to encourage you to do what we're doing now, but I've got some old tricks that I still pull out every once in a while when it's important. But first, the AAP meeting is next week. Yes, to September 19th it starts. That's on Friday. We'll be doing a special AAIP event on Saturday. That'll be at 4:45 p.m. for members, 5:30 p.m. for everybody. And by the way, if it's at 4:45 p.m. and you have some friends, bring them over. We want to gain interest. I want to make sure, and by the way, the best interest that can be gained is by active members of the AAIP. So 4:45, you're coming over, and it's going to be at the Park 55 Wyndham Hotel, which is on 55 Cyril Magnin Street, about an 11-minute walk from the Moscone Center. And we've got a room there, and I anticipate that we'll have a good time, and there'll be lots of interest. There's lots of promo going out. You're going to get the promo. You'll get direct mail. You'll get emails. There are a lot of things that are going out to make sure that everyone knows, every active periodontist knows that, in fact, we're going to be there, and the AIP is an entity that can help those who want to become a little bit more independent, or even if you don't want to become independent, to grow and to improve yourselves in a number of different ways. And so we're going to show you that. So 4:45 is for the members. You know, members come in. We all have problems. We'll do a problem-solving session. And so members can bring guests to that meeting. And then 45 minutes later at 5:30, then we'll have a general session. It'll be not only an introduction to the AIP, it's certainly not going to be just a sales pitch to the AIP. We're going to talk about real problems, real solutions, real things that have been encountered. So if people really want to see what happens at an AIP meeting, I'm going to give you a mini version of that. We're going to go over some of the strategies that we've talked about in the past few months on this webcast. So with that, let's talk about sales tricks or sales strategies, how we can help patients understand what needs to be done. Now, I'm going to talk about some things that actually require some investment. Yeah. in order to be able to do, and we do just so you know, we do at least 4 full arches a month, probably more. I'm talking about full arches of implants. In order to be able to do that, we have to have materials in order to be able to have patients understand that, in fact, it can be done. Not only that it can be done, but they have to see and they have to feel. They have to understand. They have to understand why it's there, and they have to know what it's going to feel like, what it's going to look like. But first, I want to show you a few things that we found very, very helpful. One thing that I found extremely helpful is Anatomage software. Now, many of you have CT scans in your office, and you may have some software that comes with the CT scan. The Anatomage software is one that has been a tool which has allowed me to be able to show a patient exactly what's going on and why they need it. And frankly, it's just high tech. It just looks good. But why tell you about it? Let me show you. Okay, so from a CT scan in the Anatomage software, and I'm sure many of you have seen this before, okay, you will develop a tooth-like model. Patients can relate to this. If you want to go a little bit high-tech, you know, you can rotate it in any one of a number of different ways in order to be able to show patients what their situation might be. So I just picked this patient at random, and we've got this area right here, and it's an edentulous area. And so we want to be able to show a patient exactly what needs to be done there and why it needs to be done. And what better way of doing it than on the patient's own model of his or her own teeth. And by the way, if you don't have a CT scan and you're using an outside service, you can still take those DICOM files and you can upload them, download them, whatever, load them onto your own computer, and you can do the same thing from the DICOM files. Or perhaps your provider, the person in the truck, already has the Anatomage software. We found this to be essential, as I said. So I want to show you how I use the Anatomage software, just an example of what's done. So we can see the edentulous space in the panoramic view right here. And I'm going to put in a couple of implants. I'm just going to show you how I might use that. So this is a recent extraction. So I'll put an implant in here. And I want to show the patient first. This is actually a 3-tooth space, see? And so what I want to do is show the patient and give the patient some level of understanding as to why and how we can use dental implants here. So I put this implant in this spot. I've got this implant in this spot. We'll parallel them a little bit, and we'll give them an idea. I'm going to try, and really this is the patient's benefit, I'm going to see whether we might be able to use 2 implants to fill this 3-tooth space. And if that's the case, that'll save you a little bit of money. Patients like it when they hear you're trying to save them money. So you've seen it in the panoramic view. Now let's move that back to the 3D implant view that you're seeing on the upper left corner. And as you see this, you'll see now the implants are in place on the model that looks more like the patient. Let's go to this screen here. Now we're in the second box down. This is the cross-sectional view. And let's move the implant within the bone. And we'll click on the other implant, and let's move that implant within the bone. And sure enough, we've got the implant within the bone. We've got the implants in what would be considered to be a relatively good position vis-a-vis this tooth and vis-a-vis this tooth. Let's take it a step further, and frankly, this makes a big, big difference. I'm going to have to go through some manipulation, so just bear with me as I put restorations on these implants. So here we are putting restorations on the implant. Let me get rid of the clipping, and now you can see what we're trying to do is fill the space. I'm talking to the patient now. We're trying to fill the space. Let's see. You can see there's some space here and there's some space here. Let's see what we can do and see if we can actually make this work and allow you to have only 2 implants rather than 3. So what I'm going to do is reduce the height of this molar tooth right here so we can see what that's going to look like. And this one is actually pretty good. What I want to do is just move this implant over a little bit. So let's do that. And I'm going to move this implant a little bit to this spot. You'll see why I'm going to do that in a second. And while I'm at it, let me move this implant a little bit closer to the other implant. Okay? Good. Let's do that. And now we're going to go to the restoration view once again. And what I want to do is to work with this and see if I can make this bicuspid into a wider tooth. Make it into a molar and see if we can fill that space. And that's what we're going to do. And on this molar too, I can make this a little bit wider. Actually, let me move it a little bit. And folks, it's just a matter of getting used to using the software. That's it. I didn't have this facility the first time I used the software, but with a little bit of practice, you can show the patient, look, we're going to be able to fill that space for you. How's that look to you? Okay, so we'll be able to do 2 implants rather than 3, but I want to show you something. I want you to be clear on something. Now, take a look. Here is the implant, and notice the size of the implant vis-a-vis the tooth. You see, the implant itself is much smaller than the tooth, and so is this one. And that means that there are spaces here where food tends to accumulate. Just want to let you know you will be using floss. Now, the contacts will be okay here. Those will be tight, but still food tends to come into this area. So I just want to let you know that in advance. And we do want to let patients know that in advance. But let me see what I can do here to make that, maybe improve that a little bit. Let's widen that implant. You see, I can widen the implant. There's plenty of room in the bone for me to give you a bigger implant, and that means that space is going to be a little bit smaller. Let me see if I might be able to do the same thing here. Okay, so let's make that a little bit wider. Yeah. Okay. Now, still, there's going to be a space there. You see that. And we'll work with your dentist to make sure these contacts are broad. Just want you to see that. But, boy, your bone is fantastic. We can put in 2 implants here and fill this 3-tooth space, and I think you're going to be just fine. I've got to tell you, the Anatomage tool has been one of the most significant tools that I've used because patients actually see me doing the surgery in their mouths in front of them, or on models of their own mouths in front of them, and they're fascinated by seeing this type of software. Now, the Anatomage software, when I bought it, was around $5,000, and I bought it probably 3 years ago. It's probably a little bit more now. By the way, when I paid the $5,000 at that time, I got a number of free surgical guides. The surgical guides are relatively inexpensive with Anatomage. They go for something like $295. So if you tend to do guided surgery, just the free surgical guides paid for the software at that particular point. It's one of my, well, I said it already, how many times can I say it? It's one of the essentials that we use in our dental implant treatment planning, and of course I'm able to do this right at the chair and the patient's watching me. Of course, the patient's also watching me on a 37-inch or a 40-inch screen that's on the wall. I'm going to show you that. I'll show you that in a couple minutes. Important that we have big screen, big screen, big screen. If you got a big screen at home, you have a big screen TV at home, you know the reason for that. We need a big screen in our operatories. Again, makes a tremendous difference when everything is blown up so it's life size. So, yeah, where do we buy them? No, we didn't buy them at the fancy monitor place. We bought them at Walmart. And we had our IT guy hook them up, and they worked just fine. I think the brand name that we use is Vizio, and I think that's the name of it, Vizio, something like that. Anyway, we use those big screens every day, all the time. Everybody sees their X-rays on their big screens. They see the Anatomage on the big screens. They see photographs of themselves. You'll see that in a few minutes. See that on the big screens as well. So that's a trick. That's one trick. I want to show you what I used before the Anatomage, and I still pull this this trick out. And it's a model. You can get this model from any of the model companies. It's one of those models where you can remove the teeth. There's lots of reasons to be able to remove teeth in models, and I'm going to minimize something here for a second so I can see a little bit better. But let me show you this. I'll go through it probably a couple times just so you can see how we use this, okay? Okay, you get the idea. Why should I save my back teeth? Why should I replace my back teeth? Because if you don't, your teeth are going to move and they're going to flare. And let me show you how they flare. And so what you didn't see at the beginning of that, I'm going to play it again, but I can't enlarge the screen that fast. And but take a look. And what I'm doing right at the beginning is squeezing the teeth together, you know, as if we had the masseters working and the temporalis working. And I describe it very much this way. You know, there's some wear on your teeth, so I know you grind your teeth or you clench your teeth. And right now, we need some shock absorbers in the back. I know you chew on your teeth. You know, that's important to chew. But those teeth, those back teeth, really work to stabilize the front teeth. Let me show you how that works. Okay, so notice I'm squeezing without the teeth in place. Then we take the teeth out. Just leave the first bicuspids in, that's it. Jasmine loves to do these with music, so isn't that good? Now, you can use that for a number of different reasons. By the way, everybody isn't missing their first, second molars and second bicuspids on the lower. But sometimes what happens when you're missing an upper second molar and then a lower first molar and then an upper or lower second bicuspid, same thing. And patients don't have an appreciation as to the forces and the force vectors. This is a relatively inexpensive model. This model you can get for probably $200. I'm not sure. It's a long time since I bought that. I used to use that model a lot, still use it sometimes, and it can show patients exactly what you mean by stabilization or why we need posterior support. It's just there, and it's very obvious to them. And eyes light up. You know, there's only so much drawing on pieces of paper and so much explaining we can do. And what I want to show you through these series of sales tools that we use, that in fact it isn't us drawing on paper and it isn't us describing. Us describing does not work as well as what you just saw. What you just saw is, oh, I get it because I can see it. I want to show you some other things that that we use, and so there's some demonstration models that we use. Look at let's look at a demonstration model. That's me and Laura. That's the big screen. Let's talk about the big screen. Okay, that's the first big screen we bought. That's actually the smaller one. That's the 37-inch. The rest of them are 40 inches. But that's right on the wall. And how do we see so many new patients a month? Because of Laura, and because of people like Laura. Laura greets the patient. Laura sees the patient. Laura takes the x-rays that are necessary that I've recommended in advance. And how did I know what x-rays to recommend? Because I called the patient. Remember? Call the patient. How many of you are calling the patient before they come in, before the patient comes in? Well, if you call the patient, you find out an awful lot of things. The patient tells you it's a periodontal problem. The patient tells you that all of his teeth are missing. Whatever it is, you know what x-rays to order. And so I write down, after I've spoken to the patient for only a few minutes, number one, are they going to be a time-consuming patient, or will it go fairly straightforward? You can get that information. But the second thing is that I write down is FMX CT scan. I will write that. And so Laura already knows in advance what I want, and Laura does that. But not only does she do that, she also takes photographs of the patient. And she has the patient smile. Yeah, I got this patient's permission. So yeah, has the patient smile, and then the patient can start to critique his or her own smile. And of course, we don't just do this; we do that as well. Let me go back for a second. That was not where I wanted to go, but we will do just the face, and we'll magnify just the teeth. It's amazing what happens when you take this area here and it hits the full screen. Oh, patients really see that. and then they start to critique their own mouths, and they start again to understand what it is that they need. Simple camera that we use is a camera, and I recommend you go to Lester Dine. Lester Dine has a simple camera, easy, compact, for you to use, and it is a macro camera, and it does have a built-in ring light, and it's very small. It's a small camera. It's not like the typical old 35 millimeter camera, whatever we call that digital camera now. It's very small. We just started using it a couple months ago, and we're very, very happy with it instead of the big clunky camera. Use that, and use that liberally, and let the patient see what he or she looks like on that screen before I ever walk in. So Laura has had that discussion with the patient. And Laura is showing the patient what's going on. Laura will also show patients what's going on in the x-rays as well. No, Laura will not go to the point of diagnosis, although she can, but she certainly will show patients problems that I'll be looking at. And Laura spends 35, 40 minutes with the patient before I ever walk into the operatory. See, the patient's total time in our office is 2 hours or more. About a half hour of that is my time. The rest of it is Laura's time. Laura and Danielle's time, and Courtney's time, and Jennifer's time. The rest of that time is communicating with the patient and working with the patient, so the patient has a full understanding as to what's going on. Big screen, assistants taking charge of the new patient makes a big, big difference and allows you to see more patients in a relatively small amount of your time. Well, there's another thing that we've used, and here's a patient we just saw this week, and this patient has accepted, I believe, this week in the order of $34,000 worth of work, and it happened this way. She said, I want you to fill in my spaces. You can see the spaces. See the spaces that are there? I said, well, yeah, we can fill in the spaces, but how do you like your smile? You can all see this bridge here, right? How do you like that? Well, there wasn't much that she thought could be done about that. So then we went to Smile Vision. Smile Vision is an organization in Newton, Massachusetts, Newton, N-E-W-T-O-N, and you can look up Smile Vision online. And what we did was submit this picture. We uploaded this picture to Smile Vision. Smile Vision sent us back a mock-up of what this patient could look like. Now, it's a mock-up. It comes from a library of dental arches that they insert and they widen or narrow, however it needs to be done. But I know some people may be concerned, well, is it exactly accurate? No, it's not exactly accurate. But it's darn close to what we're going to do. It's very close to what we're going to do. And a patient can get a real good appreciation as to what can be done, how we can get rid of the gummy smile, how we can change the incisal ledge line, how we can get the smile line to conform with the lower lip the way it's supposed to. This picture was the reason the patient accepted $34,000 worth of treatment. Now, of course, our staff is talking with them and discussing what's going to be done, whether it's going to be crown lengthening or extractions or implants or whatever it is. Our staff is well versed in what's going to be done on Springstone or Care Credit, and talking to the patient about the sequence of steps that the patient is going to take. That's done after the fact. It's done after the patient sees this. So Smile Vision, I think an upload and one of these pictures probably cost something on the order of $65, something like that. Well worth the investment. Sometimes when we see a patient like this, I say I'll need a full workup, and a full workup in this case, without a diagnostic wax-up, by the way, would be upper and lower study models. Bite registration, study models are mounted. If we're going to open the bite, we'll use a face bow. And then it includes Smile Vision, and we have a diagnostic workup price. So people are coming in either for $50 to charity or $79, which includes a CT scan, FMX, and everything else. But then if they need an extensive workup, and not everybody does, probably, this is probably done on 10 or 15% of the patients. And I say, we really need to do a workup. There's some major changes we need to do, and then the patient will pay us whatever the costs are. It's probably $500 or $600 for this kind of a workup, and then the patient gets to see what, in fact, he or she looks like. But you know, for the $79, they get to see really everything that can be done. Certainly there's a good discussion on what can be done, but, you know, then I need a little bit more information. Just like an architect needs to draw some blueprints. I really need to draw some blueprints up of your mouth. And our blueprints are done with models and with x-rays and with mock-ups of what things could be, just like you see when you have any decorating done or house built or anything else. Patient appreciates that, understands that, and as long as you've gained the patient's confidence, the patient is really interested in making a change. This is not a difficult transition to make, and this transition is, yeah, it does cost a little bit of money in order to be able to get there, but can be done. So I recommend Smile-Vision to you, a great organization. Now, Smile-Vision also owns a laboratory. They're really doing this in order to be able to sell their laboratory services. I've never used their laboratory services, so I can't tell you anything about the laboratory. I only use Smile-Vision for these photographs. Okay, what else? How about this model? Why should I get a dental implant instead of a bridge? Okay. This model is a large model. This model is 4 times life size, so that patients can really see what's going on. And there you go. You see, well, you know what you see. I don't have to describe this to you. Okay. Well, we have a choice of grinding down the teeth. Grinding is a good word. Grinding down the teeth like this, and making a bridge that fits like this. So that's one choice we have. Or the other choice we have is to leave those teeth alone and just put in a dental implant. Which would you like? That tells the story, doesn't it? We use this model a lot. Okay, you can find these models in typical model stores. There are a number of different dental model companies, and those of you going out to the AAP will see these model companies. Pick up this model. This model is tremendous. Well, I don't know about you, but I really feel a lot better when I'm making a custom abutment for the patient, rather than using a stock abutment. You know, all of us know about the research that's been done. Whether we're talking about Tom Wilson using the periscope and finding cement below the gum line, or whether we're talking about the prosthodontic group at the University of Washington, we all understand that in fact subgingival cement is a problem. Well, and so therefore we recommend a custom abutment. Well, how better to recommend a custom abutment than to show patients the difference between a stock abutment here and a custom abutment here? How I can then direct where that gingival line is going to go. How this looks so much more like a tooth than this one. How the cement may be buried below the gum line here, but here the cement is at the gum line or above the gum line where I can see it and I can remove it. Yeah, it makes that much of a difference. And your laboratory can do this for you. If you have a laboratory, we use 5-Axis Dental Lab outside of Toronto. 5, the number 5, Axis, A-X-I-S. They did this model for us. Okay, stock abutment, custom abutment. And by the way, I don't have it in this picture, but we have the crowns that go on each one. So a patient can feel it, see it, and see the difference, and see why it's worthwhile spending whatever they spend for a custom abutment rather than stock abutment. Makes a big difference. Okay, now we do a number of full arch cases, as I said, and we would prefer, we like the Prettau, P-R-E-T-T-A-U. All of you have heard of that, the Prettau, which is a bridge that is designed by Zircon Zahn, or the equipment that's used is Zircon Zahn. If you haven't seen the equipment, Z-I-R-K-O-N-Z-A-H-N, Zircon Zahn, and they are one of a number of companies now that are doing milling. Zircon Zahn is probably the first one and certainly the biggest one, but there are other companies that are doing the same thing right now, milling zirconia to produce a result like this. So how did I do this? I actually had this is actually a milled prosthesis. These are actually individual crowns that we cemented on. to create this kind of a look. It really looks good. Yeah, I paid the lab to do that. I paid the lab to be able to create this kind of a prosthesis. You can't get this from a model company. You have to pay for the lab work. Now, if you're going to establish a relationship with a laboratory might be able to do this at a discount for you. Laboratory might be able to take an existing case they're doing for somebody else, and they just do it again and do it for you and take a little bit of money off. But yeah, it just cost a few $1,000s to get this done. But we needed to do that in order to be able to have patients accept this kind of treatment. There it is from another point of view, and of course, we got the jumps today. This is, you still have the jumps today. This is the model. You can see the line here, okay, where the line ends. So this is the zirconia, and then this is a model, a life size or life type, or has the same color. It has gingival color, so patients can see exactly what this looks like. Now we can compare and contrast this to this. Okay, they can see what the hybrid bridge looks like with the metal bar and the plastic or the acrylic and the acrylic teeth. And of course, we show the holes in this one. We don't show the holes in the other. But this allows the patient to can see that in both cases the prosthesis is screwed in place, and then these holes are filled in some way. Again, yeah, I paid the laboratory to do this, to give us the real thing, because the model companies can't do the real thing for the $200 or $300 that they charge. So definitely worthwhile to have these models, and we use these models all the time. I'm going to show you something like this in a moment. So what you're seeing is one of our financial arrangements rooms. In our financial arrangements rooms, we actually have a continuous loop video playing on this little screen. And it's just a continuous video of happy patients smiling. Let me tell you how this goes, how this happens. When a patient gets all done with treatment, let's assume the patient completes implant treatment, because we have quite a ceremony for that. Patient completes implant treatment. We do our final check, whether it's being done by, whether the prosthesis is being done by us, or whether it's being done by one of our referring dentists. We still have a final check in our office where I'm checking for cement and checking the occlusion. You know a little bit. Okay, so we've done that. Now what's next? What's next is I say something like this, did you know that when you complete dental implant treatment in our office, there's a graduation ceremony? Yeah, a graduation ceremony. Would you like to participate in our graduation? Well, people look at me a little bit crazy, but that's okay. They almost always say yes. And so then I proceed with, okay, here's the first thing, and I write it out. Here's a card. Here's my business card. Here's my cell phone number. I want you to have that in case you have any trouble. Okay. The next thing is, here's some referral materials. Our best patients come from our patients. In fact, our best patients come from patients, better than the patients come from doctors. And we're happy to treat your friends, family, and if you'd refer them over, you'd be doing them a big favor, because well, you ask them how do you like the treatment in our office, and of course they say, I loved it. Well, there are others could do that too. Yes, even a specialist, a patient can come in and see a specialist first. Of course, the AIP, we're talking about that more and more, aren't we? And I'll give them the referral materials. Some of the referral materials are referral cards. We use the Viva system, which is a very fancy referral card. We have our magazine, which was developed by Gilliard Dental Marketing. So we give them, and we have my book, The Ultimate Mouth Manual. Different referral materials which they now have in their possession. We're going to talk about PR, how important it is, and how easy it is, by the way, it is to write a book. Yeah, I know. You think it's difficult. So did I. Until I wrote my first one, and now I've written 3, and it's not that difficult. It's just a barrier you have to overcome, and you can do it. But you give them the referral materials, even if all you've done is and I'm minimizing that, but that's not really true. If all you've done is to write an article, a current article that's on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, or stapled together, or in a nice folder, talking about the benefits of dental implants or why ceramics are much better now than they ever were before, whatever opinion piece you want to put on there, if you give the patient that opinion piece, then that's a piece of material that's authored by you. It's not authored by me. It's authored by you. And the patient, if you publish something, it doesn't make any difference how you publish it, and you give the patient that material, then that's one more piece of referral material. Look at what my doctor wrote. Okay? And then say, and there's one more thing. There's the Solid Bite t-shirt. Now, some of them have seen the Solid Bite t-shirt. Many of them haven't. Some of them saw it in this framework. And so I say, and this is a collector's item. Everybody wants this. And then, of course, I hold up the t-shirt, and it says, bet you can't tell which one's the implant. And they laugh. By the way, the male version is, what is it? If you show me your implants, I'll show you mine. Yeah, that's that one. Sorry, ladies. Anyway, they love it. And so then we drape it over them, and Laura's there, or one of our assistants there, and said, asked, would you mind having your picture taken with Dr. Shelton? They all say yes. You smile, and there is a release that signed afterwards. They smile. You come up with a smile like this. Patients smiling. And imagine a video where patients, and you'll see this in a moment, or not a moment, but before the end of the session, where a patient is making financial arrangements, deciding whether to get treatment done or not. And what's flashing in front of him or in front of her is a continuous stream of smiling patients, smiling with the doctor. If you don't think that makes a difference, that everybody's accepting treatment, everybody wears this t-shirt, everybody is smiling, it does. It makes a tremendous difference in allowing patients to understand that this is the right place to go. By the way, that digital picture frame, you can buy this on Amazon. This is actually a better one than we have. So you'll get this on your videos, but just look up digital photo frame. You can see it right in the screen here. Order this. Relatively inexpensive. As you're taking pictures, you take your pictures and you just accumulate a series of pictures. It won't take you long. You upload them onto this little digital photo frame, and it will just cycle through them on a continuous loop. Patient smiling, patient smiling, patient smiling. For $150, patient smiling. Digital camera, you can use your hobby digital camera. You can use your phone, whatever you'd like. Patient smiling. See patients smiling. It makes a tremendous difference. I give you the idea that I think patients smiling and you smiling with the patient makes a big difference. It does, and it's very, very simple to do. By the way, the final thing we do is actually give the patient a success story to write. Okay, and it's just an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and it says success story on it. And he just asks the patient, would you like to write a success story about your experiences here? As a matter of fact, whenever a patient says something nice about us, it's a perfect time to ask the patient whether they'd like to write a success story. And those success stories are then compiled. And you can have a success story booklet out in your reception room, and don't you think that would make a difference? And you have success stories to publish on your website. All of that is done at the final post-op visit. And patients coming in, if they're happy, and most of them are, would love to share those experiences. And the more of those experiences that you have, the more opportunities that you take to be able to get those success stories, the better it is. You can put that up on your Facebook page. By the way, you are accumulating your patients' email addresses, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're accumulating every patient's email address. You're asking each patient, old patient and new patient, for email address. I don't want to hear you tell me, oh, but they get mad about receiving emails. You know who gets mad? Maybe 15 or 20% of the patients, maybe 5% of the patients, maybe less, but that sticks in your head. No, no, no. The vast majority want to receive the emails, or at least will receive the emails and might delete them just like we do. Whatever it is, that's more material, more promotion going out. And so if a success story comes out, and by the way, at the bottom of the success story we write, okay to publish, check mark, yes, check mark, no. If the patient check marks yes, we can put that on our Facebook page, we can put that on our home page, on our webpage. We can put that, we can email that along with a picture to our other patients. And the email, of course, can go not just to our patients. If it goes to our patients, those patients will send it to other people. We need to get the message out. We outflow. We get more messages out there. And the more messages out there, the more messages you push out, the more flows back to you. It's outflow creates inflow. So we don't just wait for the phone to ring. We send out material. That's what advertisers do. They send out material so that people will buy the product. So make sure you're doing that. Real good marketing way of marketing. By the way, I told some of the people early on, you want a website designer, you hire Gilliard Dental Marketing. Gilliard, G-I-L-L-E-A-R-D, Dental Marketing. They're fantastic. Those of you who were on the introductory webinar, I know that we're getting about 20 new patients per month from Gilliard. Last month we got 30. I asked Gilliard to tweak some things. We actually added some search engine optimization to our site, and we were able to move it from 20 to 30. You want to know about external marketing, and I can talk to you all day about external marketing. I love to do it. But if you want the one fundamental, you need a website that actually sells, and external marketing is done on the internet. Everybody's checking us out now, and it isn't just a brochure. It is an advertising campaign that Gilliard can do quite well. Gilliard Dental Marketing, they're in Irvine, California, and have done a tremendous job for us. Okay, what else was I going to show you here? Let's move on. Now, right now I'm talking to you on a webcam. You can see me pretty well, right? And some of you have, I know, more comfort in front of a camera than others. I mean, I did, oops, almost knocked down my, you almost saw my office really looks like behind that screen. God, I got to be careful. But with practice, I mean, yeah, I mean, I have television experience. I had my own TV show for 8.5 years. And so I'm more comfortable talking in front of a camera. That really may make a little bit of difference, but it does make the whole difference. Have you ever had patients walking in and saying, well, why should I pay you for root planing? I can get root planing done from the general dentist down the street, and it costs half the amount or something like that. Well, do you have arguments as to why your root planing is better? Okay, now you can't say it's better than the other guy. You really can't. But you can talk about some things that you use that make the root planing more effective. You can talk about the training of your hygienist. You can talk about sharpening stones. You can talk about new instruments that you use. You can talk about the variety of instrumentation that you use. We use the periscope, and I love the periscope, and some of you on here use the periscope as well and understand what I mean by the thoroughness and the effectiveness that the periscope provides. So there was a time when patients said, I can get my root planing cheaper someplace else. And we just continue to hear that story again and again and again and again and again. And my financial assistants were really frustrated. What can we do? And so what I did at 10:30 at night on a Sunday night was talking to my webcam for as long as I felt I needed to. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you because I don't want to bore you to death. But I'm going to give you something that you can do with a cheap webcam. Logitech webcam costs $75. The best webcam that I was able to find at that time. There might be better webcams now. I'm sure there are. But for $75 at Walmart, you've got something that's going to work really well. Take a look. Notice I put on a shirt and tie in order to be able to do this. Notice the poor broadcast quality. Notice it's fuzzy. Notice you're seeing my den. Notice that it doesn't make any difference because this created acceptance of what we call EAPT, endoscopically assisted periodontal therapy.
Let's talk about periodontal disease, the truth and the misconceptions. And here's the misconception. You or your dentist missed something, so as a result, you now have a disease. Could that really be true? Only if you believe that people get heart attacks because their doctors missed something, or People get cancer because their doctors missed something, or asthma, or Alzheimer's, or you name the disease. The fact is that periodontal disease falls into a class of diseases known as chronic degenerative diseases. Chronic means that it's continuing. Degenerative means that it's breaking down something, and that's what's happening. The critical attachment fibers between your teeth and your bone is breaking down. Here are some of the factors that cause periodontal disease. One is plaque. You've heard of plaque. A plaque is the soft bacteria that grows on the teeth. It's there whether we eat or not, and it needs to be removed completely at least once every 24 hours. That's your job. And the better that you do your job, the better the control of this factor of the disease. The next is calculus. A calculus is hardened plaque, and that migrates, that goes down below the gum line. It's rough. And because it's rough, it accumulates more plaque, and that causes more loss of bone support. Why? The bone doesn't want to be anywhere near the calculus, doesn't want to be near bacteria. So the calculus needs to be removed, and it can only be removed by a dentist or a dental hygienist. We're going to talk about effective calculus removal more in a few minutes. Bad diet. There are so many bad foods that we eat. They're associated with all of the chronic degenerative diseases. The best part of our diets are a large variety of fresh fruits and fresh vegetables daily. The larger the variety, the better. The World Health Organization states flatly that 85% of cancers can be avoided, and half are caused by nutritional deficiencies. 5 to 9 or more servings of fruits and vegetables are the standard way to protect yourself from any chronic degenerative disease, including periodontal disease. Okay, the fourth is genetics. People are genetically predisposed to certain diseases. But predisposition is not a death sentence. Genetic predisposition does not mean genetic expression. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. If you do good things for yourself, you likely won't get the disease. Smoking. Yes, we do see that more smokers have periodontal disease. And that's a lot more than non-smokers. That's by a wide margin. But part of that is the smoking itself. And part is all of the other factors that we've talked about already. So you see, it isn't just one factor at all that causes periodontal disease. And therefore, the best treatment for the disease addresses all of the above factors. So let's then talk about what we find is the best approach to periodontal disease. First is plaque control. Oh, I know, you may say, I know how to brush my teeth. I floss my teeth. The fact is that I recently did an examination on you, didn't I? And if I found plaque at the time of the examination, then your bacterial control isn't as good as it could be. Sorry, that's the truth. It means that when you're doing the work to brush and floss, it's not effective enough. Here's what I found. If we coach you, just as a golf coach would coach a golfer, you can remove 100% of the plaque every time out. The best professional golfers need coaching, and they need the right equipment. Same holds true for your teeth. And while a golfer could use golf clubs that were made in 1930, a golfer would do better with modern clubs. And because those clubs have been scientifically researched. Same holds true for plaque control. You need the right tools, and you need the right coaching, and here in this office we'll spend time on both. The right tools and the right coaching. Because if we're effective at this first step, the treatment step is going to be that much more effective. I've selected some instruments for you that will make your chance of 100% plaque control that much better. I have some great staff members who will work with you and track your progress. The second is calculus removal. Unless the calculus is removed, the disease process will continue. Now, you might say, but my hygienist already cleans my teeth. The fact is that most hygienists clean teeth by feel. They feel the calculus. And if they can feel the calculus, they can remove it. But here's the problem. Studies have shown that removing calculus by feel is only 50 to 90% effective, and that's in shallow pockets, less than 5 millimeters. It means if the pockets are deep, greater than 5 millimeters, the chance of removing calculus effectively goes down to almost zero. But if you can see the calculus, the effectiveness goes up to 99%. So about 12 years ago, I made an investment that has kept our periodontal patients healthy and for many kept them out of periodontal surgery. It's called a perioscope, a tiny camera size of the head of a pin that goes down below the gum line so we can see the calculus on your teeth. It allows us to see the things that our hygienist and your hygienist can't feel, and it makes all the difference in the world. So now our hygienists can see the calculus and can get it out. The perioscope is a wonderful instrument. There are fewer than 200 in the world, and I'm proud to be one of those 200 offices that have it. We call the treatment EAPT, endoscopically assisted periodontal therapy. The third is diet. You know the usual culprits. We eat at least 4 times as much sugar now as we did a generation ago. That sugar increases your risk of cancer, of a heart attack, and every other degenerative disease, including periodontal disease. But what about those 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables that you need every day? And what about the fact that you need a large variety because each fruit and vegetable has distinct advantages? I found an excellent supplement that will give you 17 different fruits and vegetables every day. It's called Juice Plus. Many doctors recommend it because there are 14 papers in the medical literature that say it works on a cellular level. And yes, there's a paper that shows that Juice Plus works for periodontal disease too. There are also times when a laboratory study might be necessary so that we can see the particular bacteria that's causing your disease. There are 11 different types of bacteria that cause periodontal disease. And we sometimes need to know which bacteria or which combination of bacteria you have so that we more effectively can treat it with antibiotics. We don't usually need antibiotics, but if we can't get the disease under control, then that laboratory study is available, and we'll use it. So there you have it, a comprehensive periodontal treatment program that works, EAPT. It's non-surgical, it's effective, and it's been proven over the many years that I've been in periodontal practice. It works. And if you follow our guidelines, it will work for you too. EAPT will help you save your teeth and reduce your need for gum surgery.
So that's it. And you get the idea as to what you can do with this. By the way, Rebecca Caudill, my hygienist of almost 30 years, is an expert at using the perioscope. She's going to be at the AAP meeting in San Francisco, Park 55 Wyndham, at 4:45 p.m. On September 20th. So if you have questions about how to use the perioscope or what the perioscope does in our office, Rebecca will be there. John Kwan is also going to have a perioscopy dinner or a meeting at a hotel at about 9 or 9:30 that night. And I know John will create some excellent material as well. By the way, there's one other thing that I do recommend. Join.me is free. It's an online web service. If you want to talk to referrers about patients, or if you want to talk to patients or patients' spouses at home, you can do a Join.me with them. You'd have all the X-rays, digital X-rays loaded up, and I hope you're using digital because digital does make a big difference. And you can do an online meeting with them. Just go to Join.me, try them out. John Russo told me about them a couple of years ago. Free service. So try that, and I hope you find that to be worthwhile in doing your case presentations. Well, I talked to you finally about a video. Remember, we talked about the running loop of patients and how effective that is. Let me show you a little video that Jasmine did for us earlier this week. Okay, so Jasmine enhanced this, but this is the exact video that's running on a continuous loop in the financial arrangements rooms. You can do this. You can make this work. You can make this work for yourselves and really create something that's going to be worthwhile for you and for your patients. Let me go to one other thing. Good. All right, so I hope that you'll be with me, that we'll be together at the AAP meeting. If not, then just continue to communicate to us as to what you need and what we can do to help you. Thanks for joining us on this webinar tonight. And Danielle will be with you next Wednesday. Thanks again, and thanks for being an active member of the AAIP. Good night.